Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Ankerstar Wealth Morning Show. I'm your host, Allison Ankerstar, and today we'll be talking about the kickoff to earnings season, Apple's new products, and when you can file your 2023 taxes. But before we begin, as a reminder, this is financial education presentation should not be construed as personal financial advice. Full disclaimer information is available at ankerstarwealth.com. Good morning, Steve. 2023 has already started strong with NASDAQ up over 5% already. What do you expect for the market now that the earnings season is underway?
Well, good morning, Allison. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you had a nice long weekend to celebrate Martin Luther King and the accomplishments that he has made. Obviously, you can tell from the background, we are on the road this week, so you can expect different scenery throughout the week as we do the morning show. So the question is, how about earnings season and what's going on there and what can people expect? The market's already open here, so you can kind of see that we're about half an hour into it. And we had some bank earnings last week, as well as Delta Airlines earnings, and they went okay, right? And when you think of how does an earnings season drive a market, well, there's all the inflation concerns and Fed rate hike concerns and potential recession concerns coming up. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to companies and the earnings and how much can they make. And earnings come in three pieces. You got the revenue, the top line, the earnings, bottom line, and of course their forecast, which everybody's concerned with the forecast right now because we don't know if we're going to have a recession, what kind of recession we're going to have if we have one, and we don't, a lot of unknowns in the air. So that's why the earnings season is so important, is it gets out of the hyperbole of everything's awesome or everything's terrible and actually shows you hard numbers from the companies. So again, these earnings that are being released right now are from the fourth quarter of 2022, which includes the holiday season numbers. And this morning, Goldman was probably the worst of the earnings that were out this morning. Goldman got hit pretty hard, but also Morgan Stanley. They aren't exactly the same, but they're obviously in the same investment banking side of things. Had really good earnings. So really, all in all, the bank stocks are holding up pretty well. And you can kind of get into the specifics there. But when you look at over the overall market, we talked about the NASDAQ being up, almost up another 0.5%. So you look at, year to date is probably your best one now to take a look at. Straight up 5.82%. So kind of a recovery off those lows. So remember when you have a bad year, like 2022 was awful, right? Down over 20%. And you tend to have, a good year to follow that, right? That reversion to the mean kind of things coming up from there. So all in all, for the earnings season, I expect that, companies will come in both good and bad, but most of the time about 80% of the companies make their earnings. And then that forecast right now, most CEOs are just being a little bit cautious with the forecast because we don't know what we have on our hands as far as what's coming for 2023 with the potential for a recession.
Next, Apple released 2 new products today. What can you tell us about them and will it help the stock?
Yeah, it's always exciting when Apple comes out with new products, not only for me personally, because I love their stuff. I think it's obviously the best out there, and because it's the largest position in the Ankerstar Wealth book, which in turn means for most investors, it's most of our investors, it is the largest position out there. So the first thing, when Apple releases new products, it does not move the stock. It really never has, because once the products are released, then they go on to market. So the new MacBook Pro with the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro laptops, which I'm on a 16-inch laptop right now, and then the Apple Mini, those are all released, but you can't get them for like another week yet. And then subsequently, you won't really know how popular they are with, different price points and things. These are a little cheaper than former versions. So, that's good for the consumer. Not as good for the investor because you make a little less margin on each unit sold. But really, it takes earnings for the first quarter of 2023 now for the numbers to roll in. So we won't really know till April is what I'm saying, whether or not that these are as popular as they thought. So that's why it really doesn't move the stock today. When you take a look at the stock overall, we'll go to a 1-year chart because that tells kind of a better story here. Yeah, it's had some pain. Obviously, middle of last year dipped down to 130 or so, came all the way back to 175. I mean, just a straight run while things were up, and then it's just been painful all the way back down to where even lower than it was, down to what, 126, 125.02 there, and then a nice bounce from there. So all in all, I think the path for Apple stock, independent of the products they put out, those are going to be good anyway. But certainly we have a lot more upside in Apple stock here. Not a seller of Apple, and on occasion I will accumulate. So if you see a few more shares show up in your portfolio, that's what's going on there.
Last, for the overachievers out there that already want to file their taxes in 2023, what can they do?
Yeah, nobody likes an overachiever, right? I'm just kidding. We all try to be overachievers with things, but this is from Kiplinger.com, so a source that we can trust there. But certainly, if you had if you're expecting a refund and you want to get it sooner than later, that would be one reason to file. Or you just simply like getting stuff done. So, when can you file? The January 23rd is the official date for more folks. If you're under certain conditions, you can already file, right? So if you've bought your TurboTax or whatever you particularly choose to use, or if you've contacted your CPA and said, hey, let's get on this, those are the timelines that you're looking at. So here's the number: January 23rd. Officially at 9 a.m. Eastern, if you are like super to the point. So a week from now, basically, or a little less than a week from now. When can you expect your return? Generally, the IRS takes about 3 weeks, or pays out like 90% of their stuff within 3 weeks. So you can expect it fairly quickly. If you, let's see, you can already file now if you make less than $73,000 a year. So consider if that's your situation out there. And who must file? Most of us have to file, right? Because we're in our working years, so that means you get to file. But on occasion, you'll get to a situation as, once you've retired, to where you may not need to file anymore. So there's a bunch of numbers out here. I always thought that this was kind of funny. Is $5 of earnings, and the married file separately, you have to file. I'm just curious as to why that wouldn't be zero, right? Who's making $1, $2, $3, or $4 that would actually be caught by that? So anyhow, let's see. There are some things that you do have to file if you are part of any of these categories where you get these credits. You can't get the credit without filing for them. So that's the kind of overview on who has to file and how many days it takes for you to get paid. So again, wait a week. You can start collecting all your stuff now. I will say this as a cautionary tale, that if you file early, file again, right? So if you file this early, you may not have all the tax forms that you think you needed to be able to not have to amend your taxes. If you are a heavy investor, which most of us are, I generally wait until the middle of March before I would even consider. Now you can plug everything in, you can see the tax situation, that sort of thing, but you really do need to wait. And if you have any limited partnerships where you're getting a K1, I would not even think of filing until probably about April 7th or 8th, because those things are notoriously, by law, they have to be out by, I think, March 15th. But, notoriously those things run late. So file early if you have a very simple tax situation and you want to. Otherwise, just wait. There's really no bonus points for you getting your tax return in early, other than just off of your plate. So that's all I have for the taxes.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions. Please submit your questions as a comment through social media or directly to our email at vipservices@ankerstarwealth.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe to get daily updates. That's what we have for today's show. I'm Allison Ankerstar. We'll see you back here tomorrow.